Look, I made 565 cold calls just to realize that making content that actually performs and works is easier than begging for people on the phone for their attention. Okay? At the end of the day, you get your attention how you want it. And if you're fishing in small ponds, you're gonna find small fish. Okay? If you're fishing in big oceans, you're going to get big boy clients. Now, at the end of the day, it doesn't mean just create whatever kind of content. Yes, consistency is amazing. However, consistency without value tied to it / entertainment, you're not going to retain any viewership. And that's because the person watching only cares about themselves, not you, unless you're entertaining them or giving them value. So you might as well know how to do those three things very well, whether it's consistency with value or consistency with entertainment. But the viewer needs to get something out of your content or they will just bounce out. All right. Now, most people really don't know what kind of content to make for their business, and that's fine. I get that all the time. I make a lot of content just documenting my journey along with helping people with what I've learned along the way. And that's typically performing on camera very well and very nonchalant. Because if you're documenting your journey, obviously it's not really too scripted. It's more of like going off of what you're documenting. In this case, it's my life and career. And you might as well know how to set the agenda for your video, because if you're not, then your video is random, it's you winging it. And unless you know your shit very well and how to present it very well on camera by winging it, then you might as well have an agenda that you can go off of for your content if you don't know what to talk about when it comes to your business and content. All right, you might as well know what it is that your customer has pain with, what they don't want to do, what they're most excited about when it comes to your product or service. And you really need to dial in what it is that we need to talk about virtually so that you know and you get value and you get entertained, or maybe it's one or the other. So content is literally you putting your flyer out there, except content is a lot better with social media, obviously, rather than just a flyer on the corner of the street. You might as well have either value or entertainment that you can offer virtually, because you don't want to be begging anyone through a cold call. I did. I woke up at 7 a.m. every day and cold called. And that was my cold shower, is waking up at 7 a.m., sometimes 6 a.m. because I had a sales call that I got from cold calling at 7 a.m. They didn't show up, obviously. They don't care. You got them through a cold call. So obviously it might just be as much of a mistake as like a one night stand where it was like, oh yeah, we were having a good time last night, but deuces. You know, at the end of the day, it really just comes down to how you got the client, how they found out about you, more importantly, than you interrupting their day just so you can pitch them. Because that's one thing I found with cold calling, which at the end of the day, I'm very grateful that I cold called and I got clients that way. I got my first few clients by cold calling. However, would I still do it? Maybe if I needed to sharpen the sword a little extra with sales, but would I do it as a reliable way of getting clients in the door? Probably not, because there's better ways of doing it that make everything so much easier. First of all, I could film videos like this and chop up the pieces that have the most valuable moments, post that as reels, and I could take that long form and just see how it performs. I won't lose nothing from posting it on YouTube compared to having it hidden inside of Google Drive. Either way, they're both owned by Google. So I can do that short form, long form route, and I can also document the journey of how things are going, because people will begin rooting for you. Since you're vulnerable and transparent to want to actually open up the doors to your life and let everybody else see it through camera, then hey, you might as well just connect with the audience at a deep level, because it's gonna feel as if they know you so well that they're like, let me see what he's got to say, because he's been on a journey and I respect it, or he's been doing his thing, right? Or he actually has valuable entertainment content. So you might not get everybody at first. However, it starts to compound a little bit, and then next thing you know, you have viewership. And that viewership can also turn into leads, which if you know how to automate and set the appointments pretty well, then you'll start to get sales calls. And obviously that's the conversion that you can take from viewership because they got value or they entertained to sales because now they saw value and now they are willing to pay money for what it is that you sell because they've spent enough time with you already. So what is the point of not selling something virtually, whether it's for your business or whether it's you just wanting to entertain at a bigger league? Why not make a profit out of you documenting the journey, out of you making the content that you would be explaining to customers that ask you those same questions? It's pointless if you're not making content because you're not reaching more people. So you might as well learn how to reach more people through a way that's easier. In this case, one to many, because you film it once and then people keep seeing it over and over again until it plateaus a little bit. And then you make more content, right? You're just throwing more darts at the board and you're gonna land something, right? You might not land all of them bullseye. However, you're gonna keep trying, and you're gonna start to get the muscle memory a little bit better. And eventually, boom, you hit a dart in the bullseye. And that's right there where you start taking off, right? So the more content you have out there, the better it's gonna end up for you. Because whether your content is entertaining or your content is valuable educationally, people will start to catch a drift and they will start to follow you because they see that they are getting something out of your content. So it's your responsibility to be seen for people to know about your business, therefore buy from you. And it's also important to make sure that you're making the kind of content that is actually going to help someone, even if it's just a little bit that day. Help someone not only get to know you, but get to know your business and how it helps. And you can only do that best through how you present your business and your ideas and your value and your entertainment through content. Because if you try to cold call people to entertain them, you're gonna get a lot of hangups. And if you try to cold call people because you wanna add value to them and you actually have a service that is worth buying, well, you're gonna get a lot of hangups too. However, you will eventually start to get sales, right? But why do it when it's uphill when you could do it at an even level? So might as well get to it. And you might as well make the content you gotta make, bro. At the end of the day, have a solid content foundation because that's what's gonna put you out there organically and you start to catch a drift after a while. Assuming you know what you're doing with content. And it's not just about filming and editing, by the way. It's not just about, oh, talk on camera, post it. No, there's so much before that happens. And then you get on camera and then you test what performs best. That's what I do, at least. And that's what I do for clients. And it helps a ton when it's done right. So don't just focus on consistency, okay? Consistency is like walking into the room and there's someone in there that's punching you back and you're punching them, but you are blindfolded in this room and you're just throwing a bunch of punches, but you don't really take a moment to listen where they're at, where they might be, right? And you start getting punched, but eventually you're gonna start dodging because you know something's coming. So punch strategically while you're blindfolded rather than just throwing a bunch of punches. You're gonna get tired and then it's like even worse now. Okay, so get the content dialed in. Don't just focus on consistency. Make sure that you're actually focused on what needs to be performed. And that's what is the idea behind your content. Are you actually doing the market research needed in order to get the content that needs to be made? Because you're gonna wanna make sure that you're filming accordingly. Don't just pick up the phone and then start saying some bullshit on camera. You want to make sure that when you're making content about your business, it's intentional. It's nothing off the cuff, winging it. It's intentional because your customer might be listening. And if they see you as the bullshit guy, then they're not really gonna trust you to look at your content the next time you appear on social media. That's why it's so important to make sure you have a framework for your content, that you have a structure, but more importantly, that you know how to present the value slash entertainment, okay? Because let's not take advantage of your potential customers' time. Obviously, they're just scrolling on Instagram. They don't owe you their attention. Attention is earned. And it's either earned with value or with entertainment, because there is so much competition out there as far as someone's attention goes. And everybody is trying to capture attention nowadays. That's why we talk a lot about content around here, because at the end of the day, without being seen, your business isn't going to get any sales and your personal brand isn't going to be known as the valuable or the entertaining one. All right. So if you're still shy about getting on camera or being the face of the business or actually making content that not only puts you out there, but is actually valuable or entertaining, then you are missing out, my friend. You might as well learn how to make the content, learn how to present the content, and make sure that at the same time it looks visually appealing, because that right there is what's going to help you a lot more, increasing the perceived value of your business rather than just some 720p, low resolution, low quality shit. All right, let's get this going. Best of luck with your content journey. Let me know if you need help on structuring your content, or whether it's mapping out what we're gonna talk about and how you can actually present that value across virtually, just like I'm doing right here with you. All right, look up Alex.